but many years ago, I spent 1 year in the field, and if I took, if I had taken video, I could not write any paper, I think. Now the trend, recent trend is theory-oriented study. Is only study-oriented research is justified, you know, and it has become much difficult, more difficult recent years to publish natural history papers. Even if we find interesting things, many journals, high-quality journals, do not accept for publication. So we have now Pan-African News and even anecdote, but it was observed by expert observer. Even one observation we can publish as a note.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you ever think? If anybody else wants to comment about this, feel free. You always see on television, on a lot of the Discovery Channel things, they're always putting a video on a shark or something like a camera itself. Do you ever think about possibly putting a camera, having a gorilla or a chimp or a bonobo carry a camera around somehow, so we could go to places that you can't get to see and observe things? Is that possible? Yes. Go ahead, Diane. Is that possible?
I believe you were here for Dr. Yamagiwa's talk. and one terrible outcome was that these animals are big, and they can bite you.
Well, I just asked the question. So,
you first.
Yeah. Well, but it's a natural question to ask. I mean, and that's a limiting factor, right?
But it also raises questions of how much you want to impose on animals' lives.
Invading their privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, before I go to you, is there a limit that you would impose on invading animals' privacy?
Well, I will watch
you
them
say
have,
no.
I will watch them have sex, but I won't put a camera on. No, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
But your hesitation about the camera is because it involves handling the animals,
yes,
and changing your relationship with the animals. It's not about it's about not harming them, but it's not about we are voyeurs. There is no doubt about it.
Well,
we watch them.
Well, you not only watch their sex lives, but you watch their deaths.
Yeah.
You watch them die. And you were showing pictures. I mean, as someone who has talked to other, I remember going to the Galapagos and watching these birds all dying, and I asked the curator, "Do you ever take them in to heal them?" And they'd say, "Well, if we were a zoo, we would do that, but we're not a zoo. We're a natural. We watch nature happen." Do you ever feel like, when you see any of these primates dying, that you'd like to help them, or is that a You want it?
And I was thinking,
I mean, do you think you showed some pictures last night of these gorillas that were dead, and do you ever feel like, gee, I should want to take them in and heal them, or is that against the code of doing the science? Anne, did you want to?
Yeah, I have a couple of comments. First of all, I did study lions for a while, and
study what?
Lions. And male lions kill infants, as we've seen infanticide in these species. And people, occasionally tourists would say, well, why don't you intervene? And you know, this is a male lion killing it. There's no way.
Right.
But at Gombe, there has been quite a history of intervening in and helping individuals that are wounded. In one case, there was a snare. So this was a human-induced wound, and they darted the female and amputated the hand, which was necessary. But there have been cases where Jane has given antibiotics to wounded chimps. And so it's an issue that I think people disagree on, but I think especially when the cause is human-induced, then people do try to intervene and in terms of helping in disease and so on.
Yes, Doctor.
I share the same empathy with Jane. When one adult female immigrated, when one adult female with small infant of K group immigrated to M group, and she was attacked by many males and also females. And she began to be bitten many parts. So unconsciously, because this female, I observed for many years to help her. I didn't think of science, and I called out other students, 3 other students over there, and we circled that female, we circled. And female chimpanzee there and 4 male Japanese surrounded her. But she understood our intention. She was not fearing of me. And this is a news I published in Primates, journal Primates. And I hear from, I obtained, after that, I obtained a telegram-like letter from Galdigos. And just your deed is, you are right in helping the female. Just only one sentence letter. I didn't understand what it means. Because I did not send a letter to Galdigos. And meanwhile, I understood that American primatologists criticized our Japanese team's behavior because we did not.
Did you think that the Japanese behavior was different than the Western culture might have been?
You know, I said Jane's response and our response is similar.
Similar, right?
I did not support the distinction. Western primatology and Japanese primatology is very different. I don't support.
David, did you want to?
I think one thing you're hearing is that when it comes to interventions, whether of the various sorts that we've been talking about, there's, first of all, a big difference between medical interventions, which certainly are worth considering, and taking into account possible benefits, possible risks involved, and any other kind of invasive intervention that would involve handling an animal for research purposes. And there are practical reasons why you simply could not put a video camera on a chimpanzee or a gorilla like you could with, even if you were willing to disregard the ethical issues that come up in even thinking about doing that. If you could put a camera on a chimpanzee, it wouldn't be there very long. But you saw an example this morning of a creative way to use video technology to get data that we would not have otherwise by setting the cameras up in certain places. I assume, well, actually, I'm not sure. I know that Cricket Sans has used remote video cameras to get data on tool use. I don't know whether the actual footage you saw was collected that way, but to film chimpanzees and people have filmed gorillas doing things when the animals are unhabituated. So they wouldn't do them if you were there trying to film. They wouldn't be there. You would frighten them away. So there are some possibilities. Could I go back to empirical findings for a moment here, especially because Dr. Nishi just raised a point. I want to just quickly throw out 2 important empirical developments in the study of primate behavior in the last 40 years. And one of them is how our realization of how much they know about their own social worlds and those of others in their social groups. And again, we know from baboon work and work on macaques and also from work on great apes that they have tremendous social knowledge in this respect. But then that leads